Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to the show. Hope you guys have saved some room in that gas tank because it's time to go one more round with Rob. Here on today's show, I'm going to be giving you guys my take on a couple of fights from the Matchroom Boxing / DAZN co-promoted event from this past Saturday, headlined by Canelo Alvarez and Billy Joe Saunders. And this fight was for the WBA, WBC, Ring Magazine, and WBO Super Middleweight Championships of the world. So Canelo was putting his WBA, WBC, and Ring Magazine Super Middleweight titles on the line. Billy Joe Saunders was bringing the WBO Super Middleweight Championship to the table as well. All of those belts were on the line. It was one mega fight, for lack of a better term, and it definitely was a mega fight. And this was for as close to all the marbles as you can get, guys. Like this fight had one major world title that was not in the mix, and that is the IBF title that's held by Caleb Plant. And the winner of this fight presumably will take on Plant for that IBF title, with literally all the marbles on the table at that point. Winner takes all. Winner is the first ever undisputed super middleweight champion of the world. We'll get into the Canelo Saunders fight in a minute, though. First fight I got for you guys. So I only have two fights for you guys. I know on Instagram and Facebook I had said I was going to have an earlier fight. I only have the co-main and the main event for you guys on this show. The one fight that I was looking for, they didn't broadcast, so I don't know if it was just an unbroadcasted undercard fight or what, but I apologize, guys. I was looking for that fight. I thought maybe they reordered fights. They obviously did not, and so I was not prepared for any of the other fights. So, but we still have the co-main and the main event, which was we'll have plenty to cover on these. So, co-main event was Elwin Soto defending his WBO Junior Flyweight Championship of the World against Katsunori Takayama. Now, Takayama was a multiple-time title holder in his younger days. He's on the little bit of an older end of the spectrum here as far as boxing goes. But good golly, what a fight, guys! Let's just get into it, because what a fight. So round one, Takayama actually comes out. He throws a quick pair of jabs to start, and he's very active through the first minute as well. Takayama's volume was incredible, guys. Incredible. I was not expecting that from somebody that's, like I said, on the older end of the spectrum for boxing. He was really active in the first minute. Soto's throwing shots here and there. Soto is really kind of looking for more power punches, to be quite honest with you guys. Which, with about a minute and 50 seconds left in the round, Soto does land a good right hand that definitely rocks Takayama. And then after that, you see Soto kind of pick up his output a little bit. So he knows, like, hey, I tagged him. He's hurt. Let me put a little bit of pressure on him. So after rocking him, excuse me, sorry guys. After rocking Takayama, Soto's almost able to match Takayama's output. And he even rocks Takayama again with two good shots in the last 10 seconds of the round. So through the first minute or so, it looked like Takayama was just going to overwhelm Soto with some with volume, but Soto came back and he, like I said, after he landed that right hand, he really kind of started taking it to Takayama and matching his output. I gave the round 10-9 to Soto. It was a very competitive first round. I don't know how else to put it. It was a very competitive first round. Takayama, like I said, had the volume at first, and then Soto lands the shot. Soto almost matches the volume. Very interesting first round. Not surprised by the quickness that the round opened up with, given that it's a lower weight class. But it was the pace was going. So we come into round two. Soto opens up with a pair of hard hooks, hard hooks. It seemed like he was trying to open up and close up shop from what he had started in the first round there, guys. So he opens up with a pair of hard hooks, Takayama opens up with a couple of jabs, and Takayama's really trying to stick and move at this point. He's obviously felt the power of Soto. Doesn't want to get hit with that again. And so he's trying to stick and move more. Just under a minute left in the round, just under a minute into the round, Soto lands 2 hard punches that stagger Takayama again. And Takayama then really starts to employ that stick and move strategy. He does not want to get hit by Soto again, especially at the power that he that Soto is able to land on Takayama, especially this early. But even with the stick and move strategy, Soto's seemingly just walking Takayama down. It seems to be kind of walking right through Takayama's punches. Takayama again, he's trying to throw and land with volume. Soto just trying to throw power and just knock Takayama's head off. He really is. And that's really kind of how these first 2 rounds went. Takayama's like, hey, I'm just gonna overwhelm you with volume, and Soto's like, he's like, I only need to touch you once or twice, and I can put you to sleep. I've already rocked you a couple of times, so that's fine. You can throw volume all you want. I'm just going to throw hard shots. And Soto does land a pair of hard shots just before the end of the round again as well. So these hard shots just before the end of the round might start taking their toll a little bit later on in the bout as we keep going. Either way, I gave the round again 10-9 to Soto. The power shots are just, are kind of doing just enough for Soto in the rounds to take it, because he's the one that's hurting Takayama. Takayama may be landing with volume. He may be landing the more amount of punches. But when Soto lands one shot and you see the man start staggering, it's no question who had the more effective punch. So for those 2 reasons, that's why I gave the first. That's why I gave the first 2 rounds to, or for those reasons, that's why I gave the first 2 rounds to Soto 10-9. Round 3, both guys come out. They throw a jab simultaneously to start the round. Like, both guys came out kind of more or less met in the middle and just threw both of them threw jabs out there. And I was like, all right, like these guys both seem to want to get going here in this 3rd round. They both want to seem to get going first. Soto, because at that point I think he thought like, hey, if I can get a good couple solid punches on this guy, he's probably going to go away. And Takayama was like, hey, I can't let this guy get any more punches on me, so I just literally have to try to overwhelm him to the point where he just doesn't feel comfortable throwing, because then I can just hit him 5 times and be out of there. So it seemed like both guys really wanted to get going first in this 3rd round. And at this point, it didn't really seem that Soto was being phased at all by the punches that were landing by Takayama. Takayama seemed to be, he's still trying to land in volume, but it just didn't seem like those volume shots were doing anything to affect Soto. So he's still trying to land in volume. Soto's still trying to throw those power shots and land hard. That's like I said, guys. It was really the tale of 2 fighters in this fight. It was Takayama saying, "Hey, I'm going to overwhelm you with volume." Soto saying, "Hey, I only need 1 to put you to sleep." Soto does try to utilize a good lead hook to the body there, and a overhand right combo. He tried it a couple of times. I was trying to remember the exact number that I counted in my head that he tried to throw it, but he tries to throw it a couple of times. He does land it, once or twice. And I think if he started using some more of that kind of strategy of mixing in jabs and some hooks, going to the body a little bit more, then those overhand rights that he really wants to throw to put Takayama away might open up for him more. Regardless, again, like I said, the volume from Takayama just didn't seem to affect Soto that much. Soto's shots definitely seem to be bothering Takayama more. So, again, he gave the round 10-9 to Soto. Round 4, Soto comes out. He lands a hard right hook early. So, a hard right hook early definitely stuns Takayama. Takayama is still trying to stick with his stick and move game plan. Landing in volume, all that kind of stuff. Soto starts landing some hard shots about a minute in that really definitely start staggering Takayama. And guys, I mean, these first few rounds really kind of play out the same. Takayama throwing volume, Soto throwing his couple of couple of power shots each minute that are landing and definitely hurting Takayama, definitely putting some wear and tear on him. But Takayama in this round may have had a little bit more success. It seemed like Soto wasn't throwing as often as he was in the first, second, and third rounds there. He did land a good bit of his power punches. He did stagger Takayama again. The punches that he was throwing were hurting Takayama again. So for that, I gave the round 10-9 to Soto. But if somebody wanted to give it to Takayama 10-9 because, like I said, he did have a little bit better success in this round. And like I've said in the first 3 rounds there, he was landing on the more volume of punches compared to Soto. So if somebody wanted to say, hey, Rob, I gave it 10-9 to Takayama, I'd be perfectly okay with that. I just thought the power of Soto when he landed was enough to kind of give him just the nod for that round. Like I said, round 4 really played out the same as rounds 1, 2, and 3. Takayama throwing volume, Soto throwing his punches, in less of a voluminous manner. But when he threw those punches and they landed, good golly, you could tell the difference. So we come out for round 5. Guys, it's the same game plan from both guys, and I commend Takayama at this point for just sticking with the game plan and having faith and hope that it's going to work out for him in the later rounds, especially if he can get the rounds 9, 10, 11, 12. At some point Soto's going to have to start throwing fewer and fewer of these power punches each round because his body's just not going to have the energy to sustain it. Same game plan coming from both guys. Takayama's going with the volume. Soto's going with the fewer shots, but the harder shots. About a minute into the round, Soto does land a few of his hard punches, and he is starting to mix in more shots to the body and more jabs in this round. So I think, his corner maybe had said something to him, or he may have even seen it in the fight, like, hey, if I start mixing in a couple jabs or I start mixing up to the body, to the head, it could open up my power punches more for me. Takayama still landing at the normal volume he has in the previous rounds. Soto's jabs, though, I want to kind of circle back to that because at the end of the round, he started landing his hooks a lot better, and I think it was because he started throwing his jab out there more. And some of it was probably because he was going to the body too. So Takayama's trying to figure out, do I have to keep my hands low? Do I have to hold my hands high so he doesn't hit me in the body or so he doesn't hit me in the head? Part of that was probably Takayama trying to figure that out as well. But the jab definitely works to set things up. And I think that's what was one of the key components in setting up those hooks that Soto was able to land. For that reason, I gave the round 10-9 to Soto. Now, guys, I understand that the first 5 rounds here, I've given it all 5 rounds to Soto. But Takayama, believe me, I don't think Takayama was that far out of the fight. Like, all of these rounds that I'm giving the nod to Soto for, I sat there for almost a whole minute while these guys were on the stool going, who do I give that round to? Like, this was a very competitive fight up to this point. It has been a very competitive fight. I was hoping and anticipating it to be a very competitive fight for the remainder of it. So I just wanted to put that out there. Like, just because I've given Soto all 5 rounds here does not mean that I thought Takayama was way out of this game. I really didn't. He's got 7 rounds to work with there. Yes, he can only afford to give up 2 more before he's at point-wise out of the fight able to win, unless he starts dropping Soto, which it didn't seem to be likely that he would just start dropping Soto out of nowhere. But like I said, guys, I didn't think Takayama was very far out of the fight. Round 6, Soto opens up with a double jab cross combo, and it was a good. I think it was a good combo for him to open with. It wasn't like he didn't really throw all of his power into it. I thought it was a really good combo for him to open up with. And then after that, Takayama starts like a little showboating, I guess, for lack of a better term. He was kind of, dancing around, moving around, essentially trying to get Soto to bite on it to move in. So then as Soto's moving in, Takayama can start throwing his volume, and maybe then he can catch him and drop him. Soto doesn't bite on it, though. He's like, okay, cool, you can showboat. Like, I'm landing my shots. I'm doing what I have to do. I'm the champ. You got to come to me if you want my belt. So Soto doesn't bite on it. He starts using more of his jab and straights in the round. He, not throwing as many power shots. Takayama's mixing it up good to the head and the body as well throughout the round, and that leads to some better success with him landing kind of across the board. Is now that Takayama's kind of mixing up more throwing more to the body, he's able to land a little bit more to Soto's head, which is only going to help Takayama as the fight goes on. Soto lands a good 2, so a good straight punch there that staggers Takayama, and then he begins pressing Takayama more. So this kind of got back to how Soto was in the first couple of rounds there. He would land a shot, and then he's like, all right, I'm going to press. Again, not really a terrible idea. And the two end the round with a good exchange that just before the bell, Soto lands a good, strong uppercut in. So they're exchanging, and then boom, it was a strong uppercut. Ding, there's the bell. And you could tell that there was a little bit of a stagger there after Soto, from Takayama after Soto hit him with that uppercut. Again, really close in how I was looking at, like, ooh, who do I really want to give it to? Because same thing, like, Takayama's got the volume going there. Soto's got the more powerful shots of that the two are throwing. So ultimately, I looked at it and I said, look, right before the end of the round, they were exchanging, and Soto got the best of that exchange. I gave the round 10-9 to Soto. Round 7, Soto comes out. He opens up with those 1 and 2s again. So those jab straights. Takayama opens up with his typical volume, for at least typical volume for the fight that he was coming. Guys, a lot of these rounds kind of play out exactly like the previous rounds. Soto at this point is using his jab and straight combos to help him set up his hooks and uppercuts again. So that's starting to land better and help him land his hooks and his uppercuts again that are able to start stinging Takayama a little bit more again. Takayama throughout the round, he's throwing in volume, he's landing in flurries, but he's also eating those big shots from Soto again. So the round really is not much different than the other previous rounds. Like I said, volume flurries from Takayama, power shots from Soto. At the end of it, I thought the power shots were doing a little bit more to affect Takayama. So again, 10-9 round for Soto. Round 8, they both come out. They start throwing jabs to start. So similar to previous rounds again. Soto lands a good couple of hooks in the first 30 seconds. So that was something that really popped out of my head was, the last couple of rounds, Soto was kind of going with his jab straights at first to kind of set stuff up. And this round, he comes out, he throws a couple of jabs, and then it's just boom, hook, hook, hook. And he, like I said, he lands a good 2 or 3 hooks in those first 30 seconds, which got me thinking. I was like, oh, is he going to come out and try to overwhelm and put the pressure and start to try to get Takayama out of there? Maybe. Takayama, guess what, guys? He's throwing that volume again. It's not like he's throwing hard punches, but he's throwing a lot of punches, and it's just like throughout the rounds, it was almost constant. Like it was almost like this man never stopped punching. Really, guys, you could probably count on, with your fingers and toes, how many seconds Takayama wasn't throwing punches in the rounds. I honestly believe that. Like this, it just seemed like this man didn't stop throwing punches the entire night. It wouldn't surprise me if they showed me a corner cam and Takayama's just sitting there throwing punches in the corner. Like the man was throwing punches all round. I literally don't know if this man stopped throwing punches all night. Like it amazed me how much volume this man could put out continuously each round. It was amazing. Unfortunately, Soto was starting to pick up his volume as well a little bit more. And with Soto picking up his volume comes a pickup of the volume of the hard punches he's able to land. Now, round 8, Soto isn't able to land as many of his hard punches as he wants. It almost seemed like Soto was starting to slow down a little bit in that round. Especially towards the tail end of the round. Takayama wasn't slowing down, though, and even though it seemed like Soto was starting to slow down, Takayama was still going his pace, and he was starting to land better. And this may have been the best round for Takayama. Soto does land a good left hook just before the bell, but I think the amount of volume that Takayama was able to land was better than the couple of times that Soto, was better than the couple of times that Soto was able to land the shots that he landed. So, for that reason, I gave the round 10-9 to Takayama. Yes, this is the first round I gave to Takayama. Technically, on my scorecard, he would need knockdowns in the next couple of rounds to even have a shot at a draw. But I gave the round to Takayama. I thought this may be a turning point where Takayama might be able to start putting pressure on Soto. Maybe drop Soto a couple of times. Maybe get Soto out of there. Only time would tell. Round 9, Soto comes out and he's throwing 1-2 combos just as he has been the last couple of rounds. Again, I think it's just to kind of try to help set up those power shots that he wants to throw. Takayama is still sticking to the game plan he's used all fight. So the volume and stick and move kind of thing. So he's going to throw in volume and then he's going to move. He's going to throw in volume and then he's going to move. So Takayama just found the game plan. He thought it was working. His corner thought it was working. They stayed with it. Soto definitely seems to be slowing down in this round, though. In round 9, Soto definitely seemed to be slowing down. His output is certainly lowering at this point. He's waiting longer in between punches to throw more punches. So his output's definitely lowering. He seems to be getting tired and slowing down. Takayama landing his volume punches. Soto lands a good couple of sets of 1-2 combos, so his jab straight combos in a row with about a minute and a half left, so they're about halfway through the round. And he actually staggers Takayama after a good shot from Soto with about a minute left. Soto staggers Takayama. I don't know why I said his name twice there, guys. Sorry. Soto staggers Takayama with just under a minute left in the round. And this is where Soto starts to kind of up his output a little bit, is once he sees Takayama staggered. So they're going at it back and forth, just under 30 seconds left. Soto starts landing more. They're in close. Soto's definitely landing more than Takayama, but Takayama's still coming forward, and he's still throwing his own punches back as well. So remember, guys, just under 30 seconds left. Soto's landing. Takayama's moving forward. He's throwing his own punches back. The two kind of break from that exchange, and the ref stops the fight. You guys heard me right. The ref stopped the fight. Guys, my daughter was sleeping at this time, so I didn't want to wake her up, but I was furious at that. That seemed incredible to me. I don't know what the ref saw or heard in there to make him think that that was the appropriate time to stop the fight. But I want to tell you guys what I just said back. We're just under 30 seconds left in the round. Soto is landing more in close. Takayama's pushing forward, throwing his own punches back at him. He's intelligently defending himself. He's attacking back. The two kind of separate, and the ref stops the fight. We'll get back to that in a minute. End of the day, the results come out. As we know what it is now, it was a TKO win at 2 minutes, 44 seconds of round 9 for your winner and still WBO Junior Flyweight Champion of the World, Elwin Soto. Great fight from both guys. I really want to put that out there, guys. Great fight from both guys. Great fight. Takayama's game plan early didn't seem like it was the best strategy, since Soto was landing so hard early and often often early. But as the fight went on, Takayama started to have more success and had some, close rounds and rounds that, like I said before, could have been scored for him. I know a couple of the commentators scored at least a round or two more than I scored for him for Takayama. So, like I said, guys, he definitely wasn't out of the fight. Soto's still throwing his hard shots, even when his volume slowed. That was apparent. And yes, I know that I said with just under a minute in the round, he staggered Takayama, and he started to open up a little bit more. But like I said, guys, Takayama was pushing forward, pressing forward, throwing his own punches back. I absolutely disagree with this stoppage. Absolutely disagree. Like I said, guys, my daughter was sleeping at the time, but if she wasn't, I was furious. I probably would have shouted at my TV some very not nice things, but I thought it was incredible that was where the ref decided to stop the fight. Takayama was never dropped in this fight. Never dropped. He was staggered. He was hurt. He was never dropped in the fight. At the time that the ref stopped the fight, he was moving forward and throwing punches back. I don't get it, guys. Now, I am all for fighter safety. I'm all for keeping the fighter safe. I understand the ref's number one concern is the fighter's safety. I get that. But in my opinion, this stoppage was way too early and uncalled for. Takayama was able to defend himself. He was able to fight back. After the fight was stopped, Takayama still kind of looked fresh. Guys, he's moving around, throwing punches in the air just as fast as he was throwing them in the round. I don't understand why the ref stopped it. He did. We have to live with the decision that's there. I hope that maybe they're able to overturn to a no contest, but I doubt it. regardless if they're able to overturn it to a no contest or not, that fight needs to be run back immediately, in my opinion. Takayama was nowhere near out of the fight. His strategy seemed to be starting to take over. I don't know why the ref stopped it. Even the commentators were they didn't know what to say. They were like, "Wait a minute, what? He just stopped the fight? Why is he stopping the fight?" Nobody knew what to say. Everybody was really confused, I guess, but the ref. Like, I don't know, guys. Like I said, bad stoppage in my opinion. Run it back. I want to see this fight again. It was so exciting, guys. It really was. So, just give me a new ref next time. So, we go from that in the co-main event. We go now to the main event. Canelo Alvarez, the WBA, WBC, and Ring Magazine Super Middleweight Champion of the world, taking on Billy Joe Saunders, who is the WBO Super Middleweight Champion of the world. This fight, guys, was the mega fight that everybody wanted to see, you know. And it was definitely the fight that I wanted to see. So I was super excited to see how it went. Let's get into it. Round one. The two start off, they're really just sizing each other up. It's really just, you know, the two sizing each other up. Saunders is kind of slipping his jab out there a little bit. Canelo not really even slipping his jab out there. He just seems to be kind of trying to get the timing of Saunders and his range and that kind of thing. So as Saunders is throwing his shots, Canelo is just able to slip just out of the way of him. You know, he's, you know, it's not like he's completely disengaging, but he's just a quick slip. He's just able to slip out of the way of most of them. Canelo lands a good body hook and a jab shortly after, you know, one of Saunders' combos there, one of his jab straight combos. And that's where Canelo really kind of starts backing Saunders up a little bit more into the round. There's a good two-punch combo that has, you know, while that Canelo lands, while Saunders is kind of in the corner. Saunders lands a good combination, a good, you know, jab straight combo as well. Canelo, again, is able to get Saunders kind of on the ropes. He starts throwing some shots to the body and lands some good body shots in there. And then the round ends. So, guys, this first round was really difficult to kind of for me to figure out who I wanted to give it to. You know, Saunders was a little bit more active than Canelo, but Canelo, when he landed, I felt like the shots had a little bit more pop on them. So ultimately, I gave the round 10-9 to Saunders. I gave the first round 10-9 to Saunders. I thought he was just more active. He landed a little bit more than Canelo, and because of that, I gave him the round. Round two, Saunders comes out, slipping that jab again. Canelo goes back to throwing his lead hook to the body. He was throwing that a couple of times in the first round. And Canelo throws a good double jab, then a right hook. So he kind of just pop, and throws that right hook looking for the bang. Lands decently, it does. And, you know, after that lands, Canelo starts to pick up the pressure, you know, a little bit. He's like, okay, I think at this point Canelo had found his confidence. He was starting to figure out his range and his timing. So he's, you know, he's feeling good. So he starts throwing some hard shots to the inside. Saunders is trying to land his shots and then pivot out. So Saunders is really trying to land his shots and then not be there for Canelo to counterpunch, which is what Canelo wanted to do. So Saunders is really trying to utilize that game plan. Canelo lands a good pair of right uppercuts and then a jab cross combo. Sorry, guys. So he lands a good pair of right uppercuts followed up by a jab cross combo that really staggers Saunders. And like I said, Canelo just seemed to find his confidence in the round. seemed to have found his range a lot better in the round, and he just started throwing the power shots that we know Canelo can throw. I gave the round 10-9 to Canelo for those reasons. Round 3, Saunders comes out, and he's just kind of pawing with his right hand, which is his lead hand. Just kind of pawing with his lead hand there. So he's not really sticking the jab out there. He's just kind of one of these motions. Really, I think that was just to try to keep Canelo at the range that Saunders wanted to be at. But both guys definitely seem to be trying to pick their shots a little bit more early in this round. So it wasn't like that Saunders was using that pawing motion and then really just kind of teeing off on Canelo. Both guys were really just kind of picking their shots better. Canelo, though, starts to get Saunders to bite on his feints. He's really kind of feigning with his feet, with his upper body, everything like that. He lands 2 good, strong right uppercuts that definitely sting Saunders. A right hook that stings Saunders as well, just shortly after landing the right uppercuts. And some of that's got to be attributed to his feints. That Saunders was biting on the feints and wasn't, didn't know when Canelo was going to throw, really. He wasn't able to see it as effectively. Round comes to a close with Saunders throwing punches, Canelo kind of slipping out of the way of him. So, guys, again, I gave this round 10-9 to Canelo. Really good and competitive fight through the 3 rounds here, though, so far. I was really impressed with how Billy Joe Saunders was starting to was kind of bringing it to Canelo. Like, he came in and he was like, hey, man, I'm not going to believe the hype. I'm in here. I think I'm better than you. Let's get at it, which I can respect. So round 4, Saunders comes out. He's not slipping his jab or pawing it out to start the round. He's just kind of moving around. About 45 seconds into the round, Canelo opens up, throwing some hard punches. Saunders answers that with a good double jab straight combo shortly after Canelo's flurry there. So, Saunders is like, hey, man, I can counter your shots too. This is boxing. I know how to box. Like, I can counter your shots too. And this was what was making it very competitive too, guys. Was, Saunders wasn't, it didn't look like he was loading up on a lot of his punches. It looked like Canelo was trying to load up on more of his punches than Saunders was trying to load up on his own. But Saunders was just kind of like, I'm gonna land the punches I can land, and then when I feel like I can throw a power punch, I'll throw a power punch. With about 45 seconds left in the round, though, guys, Saunders starts to move in. He's kind of gaining some confidence. He starts to move in on Canelo. He gets caught with a counter right uppercut that definitely stings him, and he acknowledges it. He really does. He does. He actually almost lost his mouthpiece. Like, you can see Canelo throws the uppercut, it lands, and you just see Saunders' glove come up to his mouth because he had to hold his mouthpiece in. He almost lost his mouthpiece. So it was definitely a hard right uppercut. It definitely stung him. It definitely bothered him. Round ends with the two having a few brief exchanges. They're not really extended exchanges, but they're brief. They both, a couple of flurries here and there. Round ends that way. I gave the round 10-9 to Canelo. I mean, you almost knocked the man's mouthpiece out. Unless you got completely obliterated for the rest of the round, which Canelo did not, I think you deserve the round. Round 5. Saunders goes back to pawing with the right hand to start the round. I think he felt that strategy helped and worked in round 3, so he goes back to it. Canelo's walking Saunders down. He's backing him up early. Lands a good hook to the head and then a straight to the body combo that Saunders answers with a good double jab that lands on Canelo. Canelo kind of came up. He was almost a little bit lazy. Arms were a little wider than what they should have been, and Saunders just slipped that jab in quick, boom, boom, and, landed pretty well on Canelo. I'm not going to lie. Saunders does start landing more And as he starts landing more, starts obviously gaining some confidence. And I think he actually starts landing more than Canelo this round. The last round or two, I felt that Canelo was landing just a little bit more than Saunders. This round, I think Saunders, was starting to land a little bit more than Canelo. And honestly, I thought this was Saunders' best round since round one. So when the round ended, I was like, hey, to me, I thought it was a pretty easy round to score. I gave it 10-9 to Saunders. Round 6, Saunders comes out. He slips a pair of jabs early. Just kind of comes out immediately, slips a pair of jabs. And when Saunders comes out and he starts slipping that jab early, I think that's where he felt more confident. I think that's where he felt that he was going to have more success, especially as the fight goes on. Canelo starts to get Saunders to move towards the corners and the ropes again. He's using the pressure to kind of get him there. Saunders lands a good counter straight though, about the halfway point of the round. Canelo he almost walked into that one, guys, really. Canelo was looking for more power punches while Saunders was just kind of content with landing his combos and pivoting out. And that's why Canelo got caught with that counter right there at about the halfway point. With Saunders was just like, hey, I'll land my shots and pivot out. You can try to load up all you want. I'm not saying Canelo had the wrong strategy, because everyone knows, like, Canelo can land just one time on pretty much anybody in the world. Person's going to go to sleep. So not a bad strategy, but I think Canelo could have set it up a little bit better, especially in this round. Canelo starts to target the body of Saunders again a little bit later in the round. But again, I felt Saunders had more success in this round than Canelo did. So I gave the round 10-9 to Saunders. Round 7, Saunders starts off. He throws a small flurry to kind of start the round. Most don't get through to Canelo, though. Maybe one or two slipped through and landed slightly on Canelo. A lot of them didn't, though. They hit the gloves or the forearms. Didn't really score or land on Canelo at all. Canelo's throwing to the body with hooks. In the first minute of the round, he's really starting to dig to the body of Saunders. I think he wants to kind of take some of that gas out of that tank there, and really start to wear away at Saunders. And Canelo's doing a little better this round of slipping Saunders shots than he has in the previous few rounds. He's really starting to get back to moving a little bit better. Like I said, slipping the shots a little bit better. He lands a good, hard counter left hook with about 30 seconds left, and then he's able to slip most of Saunders' punches after that in the last 30 seconds. Canelo seemed to really get back on track in this round, and because of that, he really had, a little bit better success than I thought Saunders did in this round again. I gave the round 10-9 to Canelo. Now, round 8, both men come out throwing jabs mostly for the first 30 seconds. They may slip in a straight here and there, but a lot of it was just jabs. Saunders is throwing more than Canelo through the first half of the round, guys. Again, it's not really a surprise. Canelo was kind of looking for those power counter shots. So Saunders throwing a little bit more than Canelo, I don't really think is a big deal. But with that, he's not, when Saunders lands, he's not really landing too much or too hard on Canelo. He's just kind of landing. It's almost kind of a Takayama Soto kind of thing again. No disrespect meant towards Saunders on that. Not saying that he only has like Takayama power. I'm sure that man has power for days as well. But it seemed like he was more content with just kind of landing in a volume, and Canelo was like, I just want to land a hard shot on you and put you to sleep. Canelo does land a solid uppercut at about the halfway mark that backs Saunders up, and you can see Canelo start opening up more on Saunders after that uppercut lands, and he starts landing some hard shots to the body, some hard shots to the head. Saunders, and it really just starts opening up for Canelo from there. Saunders starts biting on Canelo's feints again, easy, and he starts tying Canelo up more. And it just, after that uppercut landed, you could just see a momentum shift that was clear as day, guys, clear as day. The end of the round, going back to the corner, you can see some swelling that had popped up under the right eye of Saunders. That was from that uppercut earlier in the round. I thought it was a little difficult to see in the middle of the round while live action was going. I saw it again when they showed a replay in between rounds, but and I thought it was a little easier to see. But it was also slowed down footage. But in the moment, it was like that was a good shot. And then when he turned, the round was ending, or the round had ended, and he was going back to his corner, it was like, oh, yep, there's a good patch of swelling under that right eye, which is his lead eye. Guys, I thought it was a 10-9 round for Canelo easily. Now, when they go to the corner, you can see Saunders' corner immediately start working on that right eye, which at that point, when you looked at it in the corner, I was like, ooh, that seems to be mostly shut. Like, that doesn't seem like it's going to be open that much. I don't think he's going to be able to open it much. And it was visibly obvious that it bothered him when it was open. I think one of his cornermen went over and tried to open up his eye. You could see it visibly bothered him to do that. So at some point during the break, I want to say it was about halfway through the break. I could be off on the time. It doesn't really matter. Saunders' corner calls off the fight, though. They essentially throw in the towel. Ref waves it off. So the result of the fight ends up being a TKO win at 3 minutes of round 8, because they never went into round 9. So at 3 minutes of round 8, your winner, and still WBA, WBC, Ring Magazine Super Middleweight Champion of the World, and now your new WBO Super Middleweight Champion of the World, Canelo Alvarez. He was then announced as the unified Super Middleweight Champion of the World as well. So, guys, this was a good fight. This was a lot more competitive than I think a lot of people thought it was going to be. I thought Saunders, was very much in the fight up until and including the 8th round. That when the fight had to be stopped because Saunders' eye started to swell shut there. You can also see him immediately wince in pain too. When they went back and looked at the replay, it was like, oh yeah, he got hit, and it was like, oh, it was almost immediate that he just winced in pain. Like I said, I thought Saunders was very much in the fight. When I scored it, I gave Canelo rounds 2, 3, 4, 7, and 8. I gave Saunders rounds 1, 5, and 6. So through 8 rounds, I only had Saunders down 2 rounds. He still had 4 rounds after that he could make something happen. So like I said, I thought he was very much in the fight. Canelo, though, was just able to land the power shots that he needed. And that one punch that he needed to land, he landed, and that got him the win. Now, I know I said I had it as a close fight. The judges' scorecards, the announcers got a hold of them as well. The judges' scorecards read, two of the scorecards read 78-74, giving Canelo 6 rounds that he won and Saunders 2 rounds that he won. And the last judge had it scored 77-75. So that judge gave Canelo 5 rounds, and then he gave Saunders 3 rounds, just as I had done as well. So there wasn't too much separating any of these cards, to be honest with you guys. 1 round scored one way instead of the other. That's not really a huge deal, guys. So now, presumably, Canelo will now face Caleb Plant for literally all the gold at super middleweight, with Canelo putting up the WBA, WBC, WBO, and Ring Magazine Super Middleweight titles, Plant putting up his IBF Super Middleweight title. Winner of that fight is going to be crowned the first undisputed Super Middleweight champion of the world in history. They haven't announced a date. They haven't announced a date for this fight because I don't even think they've started, negotiations to make the fight happen. But that's obviously the next fight that everybody wants to see. That's obviously in the next fight that everyone's like, hey, this has to happen. This has to happen. The belts. This is the fight we all deserve, regardless of the belts. Actually, I think the belts make the fight even more intriguing. So this is the fight that we all deserve because of how Canelo has been able to rack up 3 of the 4 major titles, plus and then have the Ring Magazine Super Middleweight title as well. This is the fight we deserve. We deserve to find out if Canelo is the guy to finally hold all 4 major belts in the super middleweight division. It's time to find out if there finally will be a undisputed super middleweight champion of the world. Only time will tell when that fight comes, guys, though, if the fight is made. I think the fight definitely needs to be made, so hopefully they're able to get it done. Hopefully they're able to get it done soon, and we can meet back here on the show and discuss it. That's the show for you guys today, though. Hope you guys enjoyed it. As always, like, share, comment down below. If you agreed with my take on it, let me know. We can have a discussion on some of the fights there. If you didn't agree with my take on it, let me know. We can have a discussion on that too. I don't mind. Obviously, I love talking about fights. Please follow me. Hop over to Instagram at One More Round Rob, and then on Facebook it's One More Round with Rob. Hop over there, follow my stuff. I'm posting every day, updates, fight announcements, fight cancellations, injuries, all that kind of stuff. So you guys will really stay up to date on a lot of stuff. And until next time, guys, stay happy, healthy, and safe. And congratulations, you just went one more round with Rob. Have a good one. I'll see you next time, guys.